All right, welcome. We have our visit tonight, and I have Rena Brady with me.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I am so stressed.
So take a few deep breaths, and let's get comfortable here. I am going to try to follow our chat this evening on my computer. I have my laptop here. So since we're just starting, I'm going to see if I'm able to find, if I'm even able to find this. That would be a good start. If I'm able to see, oh yeah, awesome. Okay, I won't stress you out by having that available to you. So potentially, I'll be able to see some feedback on our screen tonight, but I'm no promises. It's the first time I'm trying to do that. So we'll see how that goes. I also wanted to hit a links button, but I'm not seeing it now. It says comments. Okay. So links might have to wait because I'm going to learn how to do that next time.
Okay.
I put some in there, but I'm not seeing how I can make those go live. I'm Becky Montoya Wright. I am the junior high counselor at Blue Ridge, and I have a small private practice. But the reason we're here tonight is because I was able to successfully get a grant with Nexus Coalition, and the grant is called Not All Wounds Are Visible, Educating on Mental Health. And part of that grant provides opportunities for us to push out social media interviews and information because we know that people in our small rural communities aren't always able to attend events, and we want them to have access to things going on in our community and to supports in our community. And we've really been able to talk with some amazing people from Navajo County who have some lived experience and some great insights to share. And that's why we're here tonight. And that's why I have Rena Brady with me.
Yes.
So, yeah, you are so great to do this.
Yes, I'm terrified.
But
I love you.
There's a whole lot of love going on here. So before we get into more of what we're, of our conversation, just tell everyone who you are and kind of, how long you've been in the community, a little bit about your family, things like that.
Okay. My name is Rena Brady, obviously, and my husband and I moved up here 22 years ago to the Show Low area, and we raised our 4 kids here, and they're all grown now. We love it up here, and I sell real estate, and my husband is a physician.
All right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking this morning, your oldest son and my oldest son were friends.
Yes.
And our sons turned 30.
I know.
And I thought, that's crazy. We both are grandmas. So when you're watching this, you are getting grandmotherly wisdom times 2.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody gave me a birthday card and mentioned that they had known me for 30 years. And I'm like, how can I have known somebody for 30 years? Because I'm 30 plus something, and that's why. But anyway, we go way back.
We do.
Pretty much your oldest and your youngest.
Yes.
I had a son. My sons Sam and Noah are the same age.
Yes.
Well, Noah's a little bit older,
yes.
but they hung out.
Yeah.
And
Had birthday parties here.
Yeah. So we've been in each other's lives for a very long, 22 years.
Yes.
A very long time. Well, Rena, one of the things I like to remind everyone right at the beginning, like I already said, the name of the grant. And then I figured out how you all can actually see the message on my shirt and it's not flipped. Like every time I've done this, I've had flipped images. My mom even printed me flipped note cards so that people yeah, but I don't have to use them anymore because I did a YouTube tutorial and I now know how to do this part. So
you're awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. So the grant, Not All Wounds Are Visible, and then the hotlines that I just want to make sure we have out is we have the Lifeline, which is 988, and that number can be called or text 988. And then if you are concerned that somebody is experiencing a medical crisis or an overdose, you just got to call 911. Something I want to push out as a reminder, sometimes young people are afraid to call 911 if they think their friend is overdosing because they're worried they're going to get them in trouble. Saving a life is worth any trouble anyone's going to get into. And there are Good Samaritan laws that protect you and protect your friend. If you're trying to save someone's life, there aren't going to be legal ramifications for you calling 911. Not for you. And I mean, there could be, I don't want to promise that anyone anywhere involved might not have some, but for the person who's making that call, there aren't going to be legal ramifications for trying to save somebody. So make sure you remember that. 911 if you're concerned that someone is experiencing an overdose. We also are doing parenting classes through the same format, and the next parenting class will be Tuesday, December 5th. It's at 11 a.m. live. Nobody watches them live. But I noticed that the one we did in November had about 170 views. And that's like 170 views is way more people than would ever come to a parenting class in person. So I'm calling it a win.
Yes.
And there will be another one on December 5th. And the topic is called, the subject or the title is called Enrage. Oh, I did it wrong. Engage, don't enrage. So we'll talk about that as a parenting strategy in December. You feeling a little better now? Are you ready?
I haven't ugly cried yet, so.
That's okay. The night is young.
Very
the
young.
night is young. So Rena, you and we've talked a lot over the last, 22 years, but especially for the last year.
Yes.
You've had some big things go on.
Yes.
And you have, right out of the gates of what could have really been debilitating to your family, you have just wanted to support people in crises.
Yes.
And so share a little bit about that challenge and however you want to go about it. You can just however you feel comfortable. If I have questions, I'll ask questions.
Okay, so the challenge in my life, that's what you were asking, correct?
Yes.
So our youngest son, Noah, took his life on January 7th of this year. And he didn't tell us that he was struggling until late October. And so it just happened in such a short time. And so just overcoming the grief part, I know it's going to take so much time. Mm-hmm. But that is my challenge, is overcoming this storm and having empathy and helping others and making me realize that in this storm, I will not be when this storm, is still raging, but as I walk out of this storm, I will not be the same person as I walked in. And that's what the storm is all about, to learn and to grow and to be humble and to love and give and show empathy. Man, I have learned so much.
Well, I want to just start out by saying that I feel honored that you're comfortable to share this, and what a tremendous amount of strength and courage. So with such a raw, new experience that you're going through, to be willing to talk about it. And that's not extending any criticism to anyone who's gone through something similar and that this would not be their path. Everyone has their path, and we honor and respect where that is at. It means a lot that you're willing to have this conversation. It is a very vulnerable thing to share. And I'm very appreciative. We've been in touch over the last several months because you've had some interesting experiences.
Yes.
Noah was very well known on social media platforms. And so he had quite a following of people who were very invested and interested in his life.
Yes.
And in pretty much his every move. Very entertained by your son.
He was very entertaining.
Yeah. And I have to admit that I had become one of those people who really couldn't get enough of Noah. And some of Noah's stuff was a little, abrasive and edgy. And maybe some people would have thought, oh, I don't want to watch that. But I knew this kid his whole life, and it just made me smile.
You knew his heart. You knew Noah.
It was, so to see his stuff, even if it was a little abrasive or edgy for the old folk, it cracked me up, and I really enjoyed it. So tell us a little bit about his social media presence, and maybe, our grant is called Not All Wounds Are Visible.
Right.
tell us how that applied to Noah, where people maybe wouldn't have had a clue.
So Noah was always smiling. Noah, and I didn't have TikTok at the time. And so sometimes
Do
he
you
would
now?
post, yes.
I love that. You're going to have to show me how to do it. Okay.
Because, so I didn't know that sometimes he would post things that, you know, gave little hints that he was struggling. He never wanted to worry us. And I talked to him every day. I talked to him all the time, FaceTimed, and I just didn't have a clue. And he had a huge social media following at the time, and he did tattoos, and he was just a funny kid. And I'm so thankful that he had that platform, because now I am able to post sometimes on his accounts. And I have had so many people come to me and just say, hey, I'm really struggling. I saw this video or that video that you posted, and and some of them are raw, like his last video that he posted before he died, that he drafted in the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was hard, but I found that on his phone, and I thought, I have to show this. I have to share this. This is what heartbreak looks like. Like, we need to help these people who are struggling. They're not alone, and there's such a stigmatism to mental health, and it needs to stop. We all struggle. We all suffer. Not all wounds are visible.
And how often, you know, my daughter actually did the artwork for this project. Yeah. And she has a lot of lived experience as well. And the image that, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's, you know, this beautiful woman holding up the face that everything is okay. I guess it's on my shirt too. That's funny. Sorry. Yeah, it's on my shirt, but it's just showing that. And then but behind that perfect image that she's trying to present is a very damaged, cracked soul.
Yes.
And people, when I was at Noah's service and when we talked with the family, you guys did become aware in October and offered tremendous supports to Noah in that short time, that brief time. But as far as like the people who were following him in social media platforms, do you feel like generally they were under the impression he was just a happy-go-lucky kid, or
there were a few people that said, "Oh, I saw this coming," but you know, hindsight's 20/20,
right?
You know, and
the majority of what he was pushing out there,
it was shocked. Right. Everyone was shocked. You were shocked. I mean,
shocked.
The community was shocked. My family was shocked. They didn't even find out until Christmas Day, because Noah had trusted me with this, and I tried to get him the help he needed, but he said, do not tell the family because I'm trusting you, and I didn't want to betray that trust. So they did not find out until Christmas Day. And it was like a brick wall fell on them, and
they were very surprised.
And they were very surprised.
But a tremendous outpouring of love for Noah at that time.
Yes. We rallied around. We finally tried to talk him into the next day. Christmas was on a Sunday, the next day, because he wouldn't get on medication. We tried to get him into counseling. He only had one appointment. It wasn't until he passed away, 2 days after I buried him, I got 2 phone calls on his phone that said, "Hey, sorry, it's so late getting back to you. We can get you in the end of January." And I was like, it's too late. It's too late. One counselor didn't even show up.
For an appointment
he had. We called, I can't tell you how many, at least 40 between him and I. He wanted a woman. He wanted in person. He didn't want a Zoom. And he had one appointment the week before he passed away.
That's really hard.
No one would call him back. It's just horrible.
And we are facing a severe mental health crisis and shortage. I know in our community right now, the general waiting list, if you're trying to get an in-person appointment, is 4 to 6 months. And that's responsible therapists who want to take you on as a client, but they just don't have space.
Right.
And he was looking for services in the Valley. Is
Yes.
that where he was
Yes.
at? And it is a burdened, and I don't know, burden isn't really the right word I'm looking for, but it is an over-needed, underserved population.
Yes.
So it is really challenging. And how tragic to get that call
Oh,
2
it
days
was
after his
heartbreaking.
service. Yeah.
It was heartbreaking.
Because he was willing. Here
Because
you have somebody willing
yes.
to receive help
Yes.
and know where to find it.
Yes.
And then you line up an appointment and the counselor's a no-show.
Yes.
That's just a really difficult, that just is adding difficulty to difficulty.
And the one appointment that he did have the week before he passed away, he really liked her. She was great. When I got the text for his reminder of his next appointment, I had to call, and she called me back, and was just shocked.
Yeah.
Like everyone else.
It's hard in this community. I have a small private practice, and I have had a few direct clients and then family members of clients who have died by suicide. And it is devastating. It's devastating because we want to offer them these hopes and these opportunities and this feeling of belonging. And sometimes, this is one of those things that we never know who we've made that difference for.
Right.
We find out, we get the numbers on who end up making the decision to die, but we don't ever really know our stats on
Yes.
whose lives we've positively impacted.
Yes.
And that can be challenging because we can really get weighed down with the heaviness of the current statistics. Navajo County has, if not the highest, it is tied as the highest rate of suicide per capita in the country.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it's in every demographic.
Like you, yes, every demographic, it does not discriminate.
It does not.
And like you, I want to bring awareness. I want people to know there is hope. You might not think that you are loved or anybody would care, that you're not needed here. Life would be better without you. That is so not true. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thanksgiving's coming up. Christmas is coming up.
Noah's birthday.
Noah's birthday is Thursday. And there's always going to be that empty seat at my table. I have my husband, I have my other boys, my daughter-in-laws, my grandbaby. But I'll always have that missing seat, and I don't want another family to feel that heartbreak. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I can't imagine the pain that Noah had, because he would not have done this.
Unless it was just unbearable pain.
It was just unbearable pain. And he was loved. He had a good home, great home.
I do know. And I've been surprised at some of our suicides in the last couple of years, because I do think society wants to say or try to assume, well, there must have been this or there must have been that. And we have had multiple young people die by suicide or by, we're not sure, probably accidental, but possibly intentional overdose. And they are all coming from incredible families. And that's not to say that a family that's going through a challenge isn't also just trying to be we're all doing the best we can with what we know.
Right.
But yeah, Noah had just a wonderful support network. Even at his service, you guys had things kind of laid out that people could look through. And you mentioned on Christmas Day, the family becoming aware of the crises he was experiencing. And there were letters written just a week prior to his death from family members just pouring out their love and support to Noah. And so all of the right things were being done. And so we do know Noah was experiencing a kind of pain that, for whatever reason, the answers that were being provided to him at that time weren't enough for him at that time.
Right.
And your hope is that please consider the supports that are being put out in front of you.
Yes.
And that if the supports you need aren't being put there by the people in your circle, search for some new circles.
Yes, search, please. Search for new circles.
Yeah,
if need
find
be.
those supports. And a great place to start is that 988. I'm not going to lie, you can end up on a waiting line. It doesn't mean you're going to get instantaneous help, but it's a pause. It's practicing a pause. When you call 988 or seek your local emergency room, whatever it might be, you're saying, I want to pause on this action. I want to see what other supports are available. And that's a win. Even if immediately those supports aren't exactly what you need, that process is being started, and that's important. And you're staying alive. I love your sweatshirt. I'm not sure if you guys can see her shirt, but it says, stay in great big letters, and tomorrow needs you.
Yes.
I love that.
And Noah Bug's little.
Oh, that
Yes.
is so great. That is so great. So you had those made.
I purchased this, and Pine Needle Embroidery did that for me.
I love that. Yeah. That's so great. So when we talk about Noah, tell me a little bit about the kind of person he was. Like when you started getting feedback from people whose lives he had impacted, what were some of the things you were learning? I'll tell a couple of quick things.
Okay.
So
This will be interesting.
So I was asking my son, Sam, Noah and Sam were pretty good friends up until about junior high age. And then they were always still great to each other, but they didn't really hang out as much. So I asked Sam, I'm like, hey, do you remember the last time what did you and Noah do the last time you hung out? And he wasn't positive. He remembers them doing some interviews in Walmart. And Sam was not the one interviewing anybody. Let me just say that. But he remembers Noah asking people, Walmart shoppers, like really deep, profound questions and then getting a recording. So he remembers that. And then he says, and I'm pretty sure the very last time we hung out, we stood at the road by Sholo Lake and were mooning cars and diving down to the river when they drove by.
Not surprising.
That's his memory. I had Noah at junior high. And junior high, he was just a pleasant, fun kid. Like he just was tons of fun. He didn't ever get in trouble. He had some friends maybe that got in trouble sometimes, but he was just an easy kid who just liked everybody.
Oh my gosh. He loved everybody. To him, everyone was his friend. You know, he just cared for them truly. You might not have been his friend, but
he considered you
his
friend.
Yeah, he considered you his friend.
Yeah. And so were there things you were surprised to learn, or did you already have a pretty good sense of the things he was up to, prior to him passing away?
You mean in high school or
just in general? Like, did you learn anything where like, I can't believe he did that. That's so great. I wouldn't have ever, maybe it surprised you or was just really touching.
Well, I knew even in elementary school or junior high or high school, he had friends from every demographic, every, social status, he just loved people. And, that wasn't surprising to me, but what was surprising to me was that I knew he cared for everybody, the downtrodden. He always would give the shirt off of his back for you. And when he passed away, he made really good money tattooing in his little bedroom, with his little Circle K sign and his Taylor Swift and Mac Miller playing. He just loved it. He had fun. But he always asked people like deep things like, are you happy? When was the last time that you cried? Because I think he was trying to figure out his own emotions. Am I normal? Is everyone else feeling this? And he was always there for everyone else, but he wouldn't give himself that grace. He wouldn't let other people know really that he was struggling. But doing the tattoo thing, after he passed away, I was reconciling his bank account and I was like, where did all his money go? I mean, besides eating out 3 meals a day, I mean, you know, I mean, come on, that takes a lot. But I really couldn't understand it until I started diving in, and it was GoFundMe, 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 GoFundMe. He was contributing all over the country and even the world to these GoFundMe accounts, giving to people. And I even had so many people, it was amazing, contact me and say, I'm a single dad. Noah helped me for several months put diapers on my kids. Oh my Single moms contacted me. He was paying my rent for me. Like he
knew how to love.
He knew, and he taught me so much. He taught me how to love. I mean, he was just such a sweet person that way.
I want to share, so I'm not like crazy good at social media.
I'm not either.
I don't have TikTok.
I just ugly cry on.
No, you do not ugly cry. She does nothing ugly. I'm just going to say. But when you and I have been Facebook friends probably for as long as we've had Facebook. And over the year prior to Noah dying, I had even made a comment to my coworker, Heather Fuller. I work with her at work. Heather. And sometime in that year prior to Noah dying, I'm like, have you seen what a great relationship Rena is having with Noah? I had just said, here's this kid who's just decided to take his own path. Like, I don't even know the path existed. He created this path.
He created his own.
Yeah, and probably it was surprising at first, and you maybe kind of started to learn about his path when he was in high school, I'm not sure.
Yes.
But here he is creating his young adult path in this new territory that some parents maybe wouldn't really even know what to do with. But you were beautifully loving him back. Like he maybe was teaching you how to love, but people like me were noticing that you were loving back in a way that was profound. It was changing me. I thought, she is loving this kid loudly. He is a tattoo artist. Her husband's recently been called to lead a church congregation, and she is happily supporting and loving his industry, who he is, exactly how he is. And it was unbelievable to me. I thought it was one of the most beautiful love stories I was seeing.
Well, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, teenage years are rough.
I work at a junior high.
Yes, they are really rough. And I was used to the Noah that, just excelled in school and was in all of the accelerated classes. And then he gets to high school and he doesn't want to do any of that. And then you get opinionated and you just want, this is what I've learned through all of this, you want so much for them. I mean, he could have been a doctor, a lawyer, he could have been anything. And one day he's like, I want to do tattoos. And I didn't even really know that until all these people kept coming in and out of my house. And
like he was doing tattoos in your house?
But so we had a really contentious butting heads during high school. And when he graduated, I think he realized I just did that out of love. And I had to step back and realize, okay, this is him. All I can do is love him. And then from that point forward, that's all I did. I wanted the best for him that any family member would want. And that's what he wanted. So I embraced it. I embraced him. It's not that he knew that he was loved, but he's a teenager and you're a parent and,
it's hard, isn't it?
It's hard.
That balance of dialing in our reasonable expectations and then also just meeting them where they're at. That is a lifelong project with kids. We think when they're 5 or 6 and we bump heads, they go to their room and we go get a soda. We all feel better later. When they're grown-ups, it gets really tricky. It starts to get tricky. But the beautiful story was unfolding.
Yes.
And it was impacting people. There was cute videos of the two of you. All of the pictures over the months prior to him passing away were just these heartfelt, beautiful connections between the two of you.
Yes. I know he loved me.
Oh my gosh.
He did not do this to hurt us.
Yeah.
He, in his mind, that was his only way out. It wasn't. I wish he would have stayed. you know, it's so hard for that, to see the memories and to see a story unfolding that didn't end the way that you expected it to.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know this isn't the end, I know. But, you know, that chapter, you know, right here it's a tough one.
Would have liked a few more pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know he loved us. And I loved him. He knew how much his family loved him. There was no doubt in his mind.
I believe that. I absolutely believe that. I mean, I could just tell. And as we've talked about some of the things, and, you know, as in this field, the field that I work in, and as a family member who's had someone die by suicide, we just want to understand it. Like, we do really seek for some understanding. And sometimes we have to be okay with knowing there may not be fully an understanding on this. And we can stab in the dark for ideas of, well, maybe it was this, or well, maybe this was going on. And those things might be helpful or insightful for a minute, but at some point we just kind of have to embrace that we're not going to have those answers.
Yes.
You did say something at the beginning that one of the things you're stuck with is this powerful grief. And you mentioned that what you are, and tell me if I'm getting this right. If you feel like I'm representing this wrong, correct me. But what I heard you saying is that you feel like these experiences and this powerful feeling of grief have created opportunities for change in you.
Yes.
And that kind of feels like, I don't want to say silver lining, but feels very purpose-driven.
It makes my heart so happy when somebody reaches out to me. I've shared with you some of the messages.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the people that are loving you.
Sent me
amazing.
That have reached out and received help. You know, there are success stories, and that is the silver lining, is there are success stories.
Do you feel a little bit of heaviness that for some people you might be that go-to in their time of challenge, or have you felt pretty ready to receive them?
I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a mom who lost a son.
Who knows how to love.
And I know how to love. And I would do anything to just, you know, give somebody that hope. You are loved. You are so needed here. You know, I love that meme, it's not going to rain forever. You know, It might be raining now, but it's not going to rain forever.
And one thing we know about people who have been suicidal is that when they have reached recovery, they often aren't suicidal ever again in their life. We do know there are some people who maybe we would call that it is a progressive challenge throughout their life, that it's not something that lifts quite as easily, but that they kind of, like you said, they start to learn these strategies, and the more they implement them on the front side, the sooner they find themselves out of that rain or that darkness.
Yes.
And the same thing with diagnosable mental health conditions. They're very treatable. Mental health has had so many advances. Brain research has had so many advances. There are so many smart, capable professionals to support. It's not a quick process. That's where I won't lie. It is not a quick process, but once those supports start getting dialed in, sometimes they include medication. There are actually some really intensive treatments that are showing tremendous positive outcomes. And we do just want to put that hope out there.
Yes.
And your
There is
meme,
hope.
the meme of it's not going to rain forever, that is, the more we can instill hope and a sense of belonging and embracing people, I think we're seeing good things.
Yes.
You mentioned a couple of things about Noah in high school and kind of the shift you had to bring into your relationship with him. And there's a quote that I've heard recently, and I'll link who said it because I don't know who said it. I actually heard it quoted by someone who quoted it. Then I looked it up. I did find the original, so I can link it, but I don't know it right off my head. But the quote was, "It's not our job to condemn or to save,
Yes.
only to love."
Yes.
And that's such a freeing notion, Because I do think whether it's with our kids or with the community or people we work with, I think our natural inclination is to look at people, to look at things that are going on, and to either be a little critical, or to think, oh, if I can just get them to do this, 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 and this, I can rescue them from the troubles they're having. And the answers, all of those things might come from some decent intention.
Right.
But when we just push love, it's a win on either end of that. And it's all we really have power over is the way that we love other people.
Right. Because as a mother, a father, a caregiver, grandparents, we want to come in and we want to, that's our nurture. We want to solve everything. We don't want you to worry. We don't want you to go through this heartbreak. We've been there. We've done this, trust us.
Yeah.
You don't need to do it. And we try so hard to focus on those things, trying to prevent them when love is the answer.
It really is.
Loving them.
And I think we can try to justify our other intentions, but it's really freeing when we just put our energy there.
Yes.
But it's harder to do than it is to say. In theory, we're all on board, but it is so tricky.
Yeah.
And so it's something, we all have little things going on in our life where we can hear this story and apply this theory of living life and loving people and go, oh, that really works for everything except this.
Yeah.
And that's where we get stuck. And so figuring out how to make it work with our this is going to be the pursuit of a lifetime for sure.
Yes.
What I have found as a therapist with grief is that grief has the potential to beautifully change people. So I love that that's what you brought up. It has the potential to destroy people.
Yes.
But it has equal potential to do some of the most beautiful things I have ever witnessed.
Yes.
In fact, usually when I learn of something amazing that has happened, a very kind act of generosity, or just something that seems so beyond our nature, something so good, when I learn a little bit about who did that good thing, they have a strong, strong presence of a grief story in their life.
Yeah.
And that's something that they'll just say, that's what changed me. I wouldn't be this person if I hadn't allowed this grief to powerfully change me.
Yes. Grief is powerful, but so is overcoming. And it's tough, but I have grown. I've tried to help others. It changes you. I saw a quote that said, it kind of goes along with this. My kids lost Noah, they lost their sibling. If that's not hard enough, but they've also lost who their mother and father once were. They'll never be the same again. They've seen me broken. They've seen me at my lowest, but they also see me climbing out of this and being strong and putting myself out there and being vulnerable. This is vulnerable. Talking at Noah's funeral was vulnerable. I mean, it was,
And so, such a gift to all of us. It's very meaningful to me, and it does mean a lot. We were going to do this later. We hadn't originally scheduled to do it in November. We had kind of pushed it a little farther out. And I felt really inclined a few weeks ago to just reach out to you and see if you would be willing to do it a little sooner. And you were. I did not realize we would be doing it on the week of Noah's birthday.
Yes.
Until last night or this morning, that came to my awareness. And I think that's kind of a beautiful part of your story too, your willingness to share. One of the messages you shared at his service and that you guys have shared since is to love like Noah.
Yes.
And that is so powerful too, because he did really demonstrate love in a way. And I think that kind of takes us to another thought that I want to make sure we address is how in our community, in our circles, what are some strategies you feel are working to create these safe places for people, either in person or on those social media platforms? What are some things that you think would be important?
One of the biggest things where it has to start first is if you are struggling, you have to talk. You have to voice that you are not okay, and it's okay not to be okay. We've all struggled. Sometimes, it's hard. It's hard to feel that vulnerability, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to let people know. You have to let people be there for you. As human beings, we're always like, oh, I can take care of it myself. I can do this. We're always there for other people, but
We
we're
put
not.
that mask of I'm okay out there.
I'm okay out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know of somebody that's struggling, reach out to them. I'm thinking about you. Are you okay? Just simple acts of kindness.
And if you're in a position as parents of, just recently teenagers, now young adults, as parents and as, adults that support other young people, if we have opportunity to support a young person and they come and they start sharing stuff with us, like you said, maybe they share they're not okay, and they feel like what they have on their mind is too much for either their family to handle, or for the community that they think is in their corner, that would just upset that community and they would be, burned at the stake. They might feel those feelings. Have you talked to anyone about things like that, where someone in their family, a young person, is maybe sharing information with them? Maybe they aren't interested in pursuing professionally what the family had in mind, or maybe they don't want to go to college. Maybe their sexuality is in question, or they aren't going to follow the family faith tradition. Some of those things, a lot of us right now are hearing this and going, oh, please, we can deal with that. Bring that to us. Right. That is stuff we can deal with. But a lot of young people think, oh my gosh, that would upend my family. They could not handle that.
Right.
Have you had any thoughts on how we can support better in those situations?
I'm telling you, if you are one of those people that are struggling with that, your family your friends, we would much rather have you here.
Exactly as you
not. The problems that you think you have that are just so out of control that nobody will understand,
bring those to us.
Bring those to us.
And if you're concerned if your family is that place or not, you can brainstorm other adults that you feel are trusted adults. Yes. And start there. I know, having my own kids, I am so glad that they have other trusted adults in their life. And if they Yes. needed to start somewhere else to get that support and then it could work its way to me, I would be okay. I would be super okay with that.
Yes.
And also, we do want to give grace to parents that sometimes when we learn new information, it can be surprising to us and Yes. we don't always respond perfectly.
Right.
But give us some time. Give us that opportunity. We want the chance to do right by it. I mean, I've learned some things where I'm like, oh my gosh, can I have a redo? I did not use all my skills on that.
And I'm not perfect. I mean,
it can be messy, but we still want to give it
Right.
everything, and we want a chance to really make right by who you are exactly as you are. Yeah. So that's one of the things I think could really help in creating safe places, is just this idea of listening non-judgmentally and allowing people to be where they're at and offering that love. Allowing people to be where they're at doesn't mean that we don't want them to seek opportunities to even become more. We're all doing that. But it's honoring where they're at and the experience
Right.
that they're having.
Great.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to see on your thoughts on that. I think being trained in mental health, I have so many great theoretical ideas. And sometimes I actually practice them with my kids. But I'm not always dialed in. It is challenging. And we need to be a good support to each other.
Yes.
But by and large, in giant ways, we want people to stay alive.
Yes.
We just really want people to stay alive.
We want every chair around that table.
And this is going to be a tricky few months as you kind of head into the anniversary of him passing away, kind of the anniversary of you learning he was struggling.
Yeah.
Birthdays, holidays, everything at once.
It's tough.
Are you guys planning to just stay in town? Do you have a strategy, or are you just going to see how it goes?
No, we're staying here. We have our other boys that are coming in with their families, and I'm just so excited. 2 of them will be able to come home
Nice.
for Thanksgiving, but you know, I have to keep living. You have to keep going. I can never let my family feel this pain again, you know.
So you're gonna, even if there might be minutes of, they say fake it till you make it, there might be
oh my
minutes,
gosh,
some of that going on.
Yeah, no, I'm like we all do that. We always put a smile on our face. I'm okay. But I know that I have to reach out. My family knows. I have people, that check in on me.
You have people you can put the mask down with and be real.
I put the mask down with.
And I think that's a really good point to make. There are people that maybe aren't the people we're going to trust with our vulnerability, and that is perfectly fine. But we do need to find those people that we can set the mask down and be real and genuine with.
Yes.
Because everyone in our circles aren't necessarily ready to offer the supports we need. So finding the ones that are. I did want to touch real quick on the social media thing. This morning when I was thinking about visiting with Rena, and I was thinking about Noah and his social media presence, and it just makes me smile. I miss him, but I can't think about his stuff he would post and not just smile. He was so clever, so unique, and just filled this little niche that really spoke to people in such a soft, sweet, kind of corny and sometimes abrasive way, but it was his thing. And it got me thinking about social media, and as someone who, I have my Facebook account, my Instagram account, but I was thinking it was probably 10 or 15 years ago that there was some things going on politically, and for whatever reason I felt inclined to post something that was kind of an opinion, like more opinion-y. And I posted it, and within hours there was a comment from a young person who had graduated from Blue Ridge. He was a young adult, but his comment really spoke to a softness that he had for the rude way I had spoken about something. And it just really surprised me. Like, I thought, because when I had posted this opinion, I hadn't really thought, oh, I'm being a jerk. I just posted this opinion. But then to read his comment, and he wasn't being rude to me, but I could tell what he was trying to do is say, hey, if anyone was offended by her post, I'm a safe place for you. Like, I want to be gentler about this same topic. And talk about a powerful lesson for me. Like, that changed me. And I appreciate that this young adult, felt inclined and really modeled a beautiful thing for me in what he did there. And I'm not going to say that ever since then I've always just posted all the right things, because it's hard. But he really led by example, and I do think that's something that changed me, and I held him in high regard. And to read his comment just made me think, it made me feel a little embarrassed, to be honest, about what I had posted to begin with, because I had to ask myself, how is this even, who cares? Like, is anyone reading this and going, oh my gosh, she has changed my political views? I don't think anyone, because I know when I read stuff, it doesn't change mine. I just go, ooh, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable. And that's what he probably did. He read what I posted and then probably felt a little uncomfortable, and just was this young kid who did a great thing to help me learn differently. So I just want to throw that out there as a reminder. It's not always the grown-ups who have social media dialed in. Often we're the ones that are bombing on doing things the right way. Sometimes it's the younger people who are leading and teaching us.
We've got an amazing group of younger generation. I mean, they know what they want. They really are powerful, and we need them. Yeah. They're our future.
Yeah. And it's great when they lead like that.
Yes.
Just leading by example. He was leading through love.
Yes.
I mean, that's really what he was doing.
Yes.
And I was trying to let my opinions direct me. Sharing lived experience is always going to be much better than opinions and assumptions. And I appreciated that message that he shared to help me change some things for me. Well, Rena, you have been incredibly vulnerable to share part of your story. I think I speak for anyone who's watching right now or who will watch in the future that there are going to be continued prayers for your family and as well as for just anyone who's struggling.
I really appreciate that. I want to say I appreciate people reaching out to me, the hugs, the support. There's an amazing group of people, not only my friends, my family, people I don't even know. And I feel those prayers. And I know that this is a tough road to walk. I know that we all have tough roads to walk. And I know that this isn't a popular thing, to say, but
say it.
In my personal life, I would not be able to walk this road because there are some days where I don't think I can walk. And on those days, I know that I'm carried. And I know that's my, Savior.
So you believe in a higher power.
Yes.
For you, that higher power is represented in Jesus Christ as a powerful source of comfort and strength.
And strength in my life.
It's very important that you shared that. I think the ideas of what builds that resiliency and those strategies that get us through, is there even a better one?
Yes.
That one's huge.
Yeah.
And you're right, it looks different for different people.
Everyone has their own. That is just mine.
Thank you for
my
sharing
strength, my family, and my friends.
I love
my
it.
Savior.
When you, and I know we're kind of wrapping up, but I did just think of another question. When people started to come and share their sympathies with you, did you find, this is just, if you have a tip for the rest of us when we have the opportunity to go and support someone who's grieving, did you find that there was something that just really worked well? Or what did you find really sat just great with you when people would come to you offering their sympathies?
Just anybody that did that, the outpour of support. We were at Pizza Factory today eating, and I had this kid come up to me. He was from Sholo. I don't know who he was. I've never seen him before. And he came up and just hugged me and said, I want you to know I miss Noah, and you're doing a great job. And it made my heart so happy because I know that Noah's my biggest cheerleader. And I know he wants me to keep going. And it's so important for all of us. And I just think love, what we've talked about, just love and be there for another. Don't be afraid. Sometimes we're afraid to reach out. Oh, they're going to think we're stupid. Right. They don't know who I am. I can't tell you how many people have reached out that I don't know, but every one of those. And I reply to all of them, when they message me through Noah's accounts or through mine.
You just keep that connection going.
Yeah.
You were telling me over the last day or so that you had some flowers that were left for you.
Yes.
And you told me the sweetest story about how Noah, as a little boy, started going into, is it an electrical supply
right
store?
By our house.
It's right by your house?
Central Arizona. It was a heating and supply. I'm not sure. But they had, anyone that knows Noah knows he was crazy. And he loved free food. He would do backflips for food at Panda. I mean, in the airport, he would just do anything for food. But he somehow found out that they, to their customers, would give them cookies and donuts and
their contractors.
Yeah, contractors would go in there. But no one would frequent there.
As a little boy,
as a little
just
kid,
pop
he
in.
started in elementary school, did it through high school, And they just recently found out that Noah had passed away, one of the workers there, and they brought me flowers, and I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And so I texted you. I'm like, do you know who this is? But then I realized, oh, is this business here? And it was just so sweet. I need to write them a thank you card. But it was yesterday. And
when you told me how they had a connection with him, I could just see little Noah just going in, getting his treats, and being maybe even looking at some supplies like, oh yeah, show me the new stuff. It reminds me of another young person that we lost to suicide. His name was Solon. And when he moved here at the beginning of the summer, and he was bored because he was in this new place. So he found himself up at Meals on Wheels. And he went in and met the people there, and he was probably 13 or 14, and ended up going there every day, and he would help them, and they would feed him. He would help, and they would feed him, and he made this great connection with them. Yeah. And when he passed away, they actually catered his because they had such a sweet, fond memory of him and the help he gave them.
I love that.
These kids, they have so much to give, and we just really hope we can create opportunities for them to choose to stay. Rena, do you have any other thoughts or questions, final thoughts that you want to share? You've shared so many personal things. I just want to make sure if you've got anything else, you have a sec to share them.
No, I'm fine. This is a huge topic, very important. And I really hope that if you are struggling, you know that you are loved, and we do need your light. We need you here.
It means so much that you're willing to talk to me. I'm not sure how many of these types of chats that we're going to have down the road. I'm doing them monthly right now, and I'm not sure if we'll kind of just finish them up in May and be done, or if we'll just keep doing them. But I do think you have such an important voice for this subject matter, and it just comes with such a gentle and genuine energy that I think it really is going to resonate with the people that are able to participate in our program today and down the road. I just want to conclude. I'm not sure who I'll be chatting with in December. I have a few ideas, but I have not lined that all up, so I'll keep you posted on that. This grant is through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it is called I think it's on my shirt right here, Not All Wounds Are Visible. And it's in partnership with Nexus Coalition. If you want some great resources and free classes, go to nexuscoalition.org. They have a trauma expert who offers free parenting classes that are fascinating. They'll be game changers for anyone who wants to understand the bulk of struggles that some of our most challenged population are dealing with. Also, the mental health crisis line, you can call or text 988. And something to keep in mind, that's not just a number that you can use if you are personally in crisis, but if you are supporting someone in crisis and you just maybe aren't even sure what to do next for them, you can call that number or text that number and let them know, I'm supporting somebody I'm worried about, and see what they advise you to do. And they have the potential to connect you with a local responder that can even come out and do a crisis. It's a crisis mobilization team. So try using that support to whether you're supporting yourself or someone else. And then, like we said in the beginning, if you're concerned that someone is suffering an overdose or some type of medical crisis, then it's always going to be 911. I will do that parenting class on December 5th at 11 a.m. It will be available afterward as well on Counselor Lady, Facebook Counselor Lady. And the topic is going to be to engage, don't enrage. Good strategies for parenting. We appreciate those of you that are joining us now and that will join us later. And enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.